Mercury's retrograde, right? Here we are. Are we? Okay. Anyone on my channel you can see if we go live?
It still says waiting.
Okay. All right.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Running?
We're live.
We're live? Okay. So I'm a conceited bitch. I look pretty good today.
You look amazing. Are you kidding me?
Thank you. You know what I
The
mean?
sparkly dress, especially. I love
Right.
a bit of sparkle.
Thank you. Yeah, right. So next month, whoever's coming, your assignment's going to be wear some glitter. Let's put it to you that way, right? With some glitter, something fancy. Okay.
Hi, B. B's in the chat.
Oh, hi, B. We'll wait till a few more people come in. We're going to start off with, I always do this free flow. I should know this by heart by now, but I don't. Okay. Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back. This is Primal, and today we have another episode of Real Talk, Real Connections. And I'm kind of hoping that it'll be a little spicy today, considering it's Valentine's Day. So, let me ask the question. Who got a box of chocolates? Nobody got a heart-shaped box of chocolates?
My family.
I deliberately asked for no more chocolate because I got so much chocolate for my 40th birthday 3 weeks ago. I actually still have loads left and I feel a bit sick of eating chocolate. So I was like, no more chocolate. I got some biscuits though.
My sister got me a vegan cupcake.
Ooh, cupcakes are good. What flavor?
There were chocolate. One was chocolate and one was vanilla. It was so good and moist. It was like
that's the thing with vegan cake, right? It's got to be moist.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so who got flowers?
I did.
You did. What kind did you get, Laura?
Pink roses.
Oh,
nice.
Lovely.
Oh, this is sweet.
Yeah. What did you get, James?
A day early, so they'd be surprised.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan of red roses per se. I think that's kind of like, give me something different. Purple roses. I'm yours if you come to me with black roses. Peach, yellow. Those are my roses. Let's see. Usually when in retail, years ago, I used to work in a high-end department store. That's when I was younger. And everyone does the last mad dash to get the Valentine's Day gift. Oh, I remember. 1-800-PRO-FLOWERS. They'll be calling to order flowers and have them delivered. And I worked in an office and the phone calls will be misdirected, unfortunately, to my office. It had nothing to do with this flower or florist or anything like that. So whenever I pick up the phone and they were asking or saying, I want to order flowers, blah, blah, blah. I said, honey, it's too late. Get jewelry. The flowers won't get there. I
always get jewelry over flowers, quite frankly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Okay. So Valentine's Day. Now, do I want to start off with, Lennon was in the feed last time we met, and she left us with a question. And I don't know if anyone remembers. I'm not even sure if she remembers, right? So I know a lot of times, you guys don't think that I'm watching you and I'm not active, but I am. I'm listening, right? So the question Lennon had posed was, when was your last first?
Ooh,
Do you remember that, Lennon?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because I've been married coming up next week, 14 years. Okay. And I could not remember my last first. And it got me thinking, does anybody else know their last first?
Well, your last first of anything.
Yeah, anything. But I think mine was going off of romance kind of a thing.
Yeah. Your last first. Let's see. Do we have anyone in the audience? Let me put on some glasses, because I really can't see. Oh, hi, Rachel. Is it Rochelle or Rachel? Hi, Elizabeth. Oh, hey, Dawn. Do right, Dawn. What did you get? You said you did what? You got candy, flowers, jewelry? Like, hey, that kind of jewelry? No one can remember their last first?
I can remember my last first. My last first was the first time I had ever actually stayed at a really fancy 5-star hotel rather than just turning up to work with a client. That sounds really dodgy. I did hair and makeup. I get a lot of bridal clothes, which was November 2019 for mine and my husband's 10-year anniversary. That was the first time I'd ever actually stayed at a 5-star hotel with the like gym downstairs and the swimming pool and all that, and the suite with the and it was just like, oh, I could get used to this. I better not, but I could. So nice. And then that's not too bad considering there's been a pandemic.
Right.
We've not been able.
No one else
locked away.
Well, my last first was a few weeks ago. I rode in a Tesla.
Ooh, what's it
yes,
like?
Honey. Yes. So it has, wow. This machine is incredible. Okay. It has what we call regular speed, and then you can ramp it up to ludicrous or ludicrous 2. And then it comes with caveats. When you choose ludicrous, it asks you, like, do you want to call your mother?
What?
You want to engage a priest? Right? If you change it to ludicrous 2, it asks you, are you sure? Do you have your last will and testament ready? Like, this machine is crazy. It's crazy, right? So it's a dear friend of mine who, for his 50th birthday, bought that. That's what he wanted. He bought this Tesla. And it's fantastic, it does everything, like it shifts if a car is coming close to it, like you can see it. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. You can set it to like autopilot and take your hands off. If you have it set to a certain speed, if you go over the speed limit, it pretty much will remind you that you are going over the speed limit.
Oh, wow.
And pull it back. Yes.
What does it do at ludicrous 2? Like, what does it ask you at ludicrous 2?
I have no idea, but you know what? So when the driver, he picked up speed, when you hit the gas, at least my car, you hit the gas and your car does that jump, right? That jump because it's got that injection. Okay, so with the Tesla, you don't feel that jump. You don't at all. What you feel is like the roller coaster. You feel the inertia in your body. So I would suggest that you have a light lunch, eat very lightly before you get in a Tesla, because if you have any issues with like vertigo or an upset stomach, it can actually bring that, to the forefront. Like I felt rolling in my gut. Like, what is that feeling? Settle down. She just bumped up from like, I don't know, 30 to 45 or something like that. It's just incredible. So that was my first time.
That's an exciting story.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. Yeah, I'm not sure that it's something I want to, invest in anytime soon, but you never know. You never know. So today is Love Day. I'm going to give you another question. Right off the top, I'm going to go around. Okay. Kelly Bear, name a famous love couple.
A famous love
couple? Name as many as you can. Yeah, famous couple.
Super obvious.
Keep going.
Oh my God, that's really difficult. Oh, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, apparently they were very into each other. I'm not good at this. Do they have to be real, or they can be fictional?
They can be fictional. Give me a movie.
Jack and Rose from Titanic.
Okay.
Although that was pretty quick as well.
No?
I'm not very
Pass.
good at this.
Laura?
Oh, I was going to say Xena and Gabrielle on Xena Warrior Princess was the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Soulmates.
Oh, Matthew, yes, Morticia and Gomez. Yeah, baby.
Oh my god, they're like
Ah,
the ultimate couple.
yes. Okay. What else you got, Laura?
Oh, I got okay. Why is this difficult? Famous.
Famous or fictitious famous? Movie, whatever.
Famous? Now I'm like looking. I don't know why I'm
No?
looking around the room for a prompt when there's a wall here. It's not going to give me anything.
No.
Homer and Marge Simpson.
Okay. All right. Fred and Wilma, yes. James?
Ooh. The first thing that comes to my mind is pop culture, which is like my guilty pleasure. And so I'm thinking of like Zayn Malik and like Gigi Hadid and like those couples in like mainstream pop culture media. For some reason I wanted to say Charlotte and Wilbur, although they're not necessarily a romantic couple. I would say they very much have like a love dynamic between them. So that's a famous love, not romantic, maybe more platonic. But
okay. It's still love. It still has that frisson, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Lennon, what you got? Because you know you were dating the Tarot a little while ago. So come on.
Oprah and Stedman.
Okay.
Will and Jada.
Okay.
Brad and Angelina. Let's see. Those were like the top ones, right? Let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think fast. I'm trying to think of some movies.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jessica. What you got?
The privilege of being last.
So it better be good. What you got? Come on now. Come on.
I have Shanti and Scott Blocker. I love them. Alicia Keys and Swiss Beats. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. Jane and Bingley also, since I'm on Pride and Prejudice. Tristan and Isolde.
Yes, thank you.
Romeo and Juliet. Arwen and what is the guy? What is his name? Aragorn. Why did it just like go right over my head? Kathleen Kelly and Joe Fox from She's Got Mail. You Got Mail, not She's Got Mail. Love that movie. Hallie and Sari. Harry and Sally. Sorry.
Okay.
Me and my husband.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I think I'm out.
You're out?
Michelle and Barack. Sorry, how can I forget?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I was waiting. Hello.
Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm done.
That was a lot. Okay. You got way more than the rest of us.
Okay. Anybody remembering anything?
Tara and Willow from Buffy.
Okay.
Willow and Oz from Buffy. It's because it's topical right now because of.
Okay. All right. So let me go
together.
Okay. So I'm going to date myself here. Of all the gin joints in the world, you have to walk into this one.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I forget their names, but I know the actors' names.
Come on. No?
I can't remember the names either.
I know. I just forget their character names. That's Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, right?
Yes, Casablanca, baby. What?
Yeah, I just don't know the names of the characters.
Look, okay, wait a minute now. For you folks, you history heads. She started a freaking war.
Is it Helen of Troy?
She was the cause.
and Troy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, in Paris.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Oh, is this an actual quiz?
No. Look, today's the day of romance. You can't think of all these couples that have been around for us. Okay. All right.
Yes,
all right.
yes.
Okay.
Adam and Eve.
Okay. Wait now. Let me see. I love you, but when I'm done with you, I gotta kill you.
Ooh. Who said that? The guy or the girl?
The guy.
Okay, because it could go either way.
I know, right?
No idea.
I love you. I'm in love with you, but you're not giving me any children.
Ooh, is this like Anne Boleyn and like?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So here's another one. This is an era this is something from the era of Let Them Eat Cake.
Ooh,
Marie Antoinette.
Marie Antoinette.
And who's that? Louis the Fourth.
Louis
14th?
and who? Louis the 15th and who?
I don't know who he was married to. I thought
Madame
Marie
Pompadour?
Antoinette was the. Okay.
Oh, really?
Madame Pompadour? Okay. All right. This forefather also brought forth another important person to be, I guess you could say, a forefather. If you're in the U.S., let's see your history buffs.
We had how many? We only had one Hamilton.
Wasn't there two Roosevelts? Or am I imagining that?
John and Abigail Adams.
Mm-mm.
That's a good one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So
I
how
fucked the hell
about
out of history.
Dante and Beatrice?
Yes. Oh.
Right?
Ooh.
What about Cleopatra and Mark Antony?
Yes.
Darling. Let's see. Who else I have? Mary and Percy Shelley.
Yes.
Oh, that was a rough one, though. Oof.
Right?
Oh, that was
Elizabeth
rough.
and Robert Browning. John Keats and Fanny Brown. Gertrude Stein and Alice Tokes.
Yes.
Yeah. Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo.
Oh, God, yeah. They had a on-off, didn't they?
Uh-huh. He abdicated the throne for this woman.
Oh, for Wallace Simpson.
Yeah.
What's his chops? I should know this. Jeez.
Right?
30s
Yes.
drummer. God, what's his name? This is the problem with not really liking royalty.
That's all right. Edward. Yes, King Edward. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. Right? These were famous couples, through thick and thin. They were together for love. King gave up his throne. These are people who they went to the extreme for love, right? And so one of the things I have heard scientifically that love and hate, when it's measured scientifically, it's the same energy. Like you can't differentiate, right? And we just had a new moon in Aquarius. We have this Lunar New Year coming in. We're in the year of the Hierophant, about tradition and convention. And then you're in quarantine. And how many long-standing relationships may not be so long-standing after you come out of quarantine, right? But you have to think that we look back at our stodgy forerunners and think, what kind of life did they have? But the Victorian age was the age of let's get it on, baby. You know what I mean? Like beneath those skirts. Yeah. Okay. All right. Carolyn Bessette and John Kennedy before they died in the helicopter crash. You ever heard of them?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Amal and George Clooney.
Aman and David Bowie.
Yes.
Oh.
Cicely Tyson and Miles Davis. May she rest in peace, rest in power. Coretta Scott King and Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah. Denzel and Paulette Washington. Okay. Nefertiti and Akhenaten. So now let's get a few from the movies. So we have Rose and Jack and Ilsa and Rick from Casablanca. Nobody Puts Baby in a Corner.
Oh my god.
Dirty Dancing, a classic.
Okay.
Oh, for so long.
How about I Will Do Everything You Want, but You Just Can't Kiss Me on the Lips? If anyone remembers that.
That's Julie. I don't remember the characters' names. That's Richard Gere and Julia Roberts.
Yes. Pretty Woman. Yes.
Oh, I've got a movie one.
Go.
Wesley and Buttercup from The
Princess
Princess Bride.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As you wish.
As You Wish. Unchained Melody.
Oh yeah.
That's Ghost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh. This one you might not be familiar with. Joanna and John. You're not going to be familiar with this. This goes way, way back. This is a classic. This is your assignment for the next time we meet.
Can you give us another clue?
Watch. Let's see. This movie also had another famous couple. And the famous couple, I'm going to give you this, was Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. Right?
Is that the one where the James with Jimmy Stewart and I forget the other, where they're the press, like they're like reporters?
No. And it's probably one of the few movies that was put out in a time when, I'm going to put it to this way, when race relationships was being
Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? The original one. Sidney Poitier, and I don't know the woman's name.
Yes.
This is fun. I'm like, can't wait.
Catherine.
Not even
right, exactly. So I'm giving you these movies. I can even give you another one. Shoot. What is it? It's an old movie. So you know where I am. I always use my platform to talk about how we get along as human beings and race relations. And this is something this is not old. This is something we've been discussing for quite some time. But it was a movie with Tony Curtis. He was a convict and he was handcuffed. They were moving the convicts from one place to the other. And he was handcuffed to, I want to say Sidney Poitier.
I don't think I've seen that.
No? You want to look into that. And then we'll come back and discuss that. Because this is, that's probably one of the first movies that I had seen as a young child where a person used their position for the good at the last minute when they didn't have to, they didn't want to. Right? And I think that's one of the things that keeps me hopeful. So this has been a fight and a struggle from even way back then. Tony Curtis and Sidney Poitier, they were ex-convicts handcuffed together, and they decided they were going to escape. And no matter what they did, they could not get the handcuffs off. And finally they did. And it comes down to which someone is going to have to make a decision about what they're going to do. Do they run or do they turn back and save the other one? Okay. All right. So we talked about Lauren Bacall and Bogey. Yes. Any movie with Doris Day and Rock Hudson? right? Any movie. Let's see. Carmen Jones, Carmen and Don Jose. That was a tragic love story. Porgy and Bess. That was another tragic love story. Yeah. Um, Ennis and Jack. Brokeback Mountain.
Oh yeah.
How about Queen and Slim? Anyone see that? Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah, right. There's another movie that came out last year called The Photograph. That's like modern day love as well. So I threw all of that out here. There's one more movie, Latika and Jamal from Slumdog Millionaire. Right? Person on the other side of the tracks, come in, all of that stuff, right? So, yeah, l'amour, l'amour. Anybody knows where that comes from? L'amour, l'amour. Comes from the women. Not the new one, but the old one. With Rosalind Russell and Norman Shearer, black and white. Watch that. No men are in that movie. It's all women.
Cool.
And it talks about relationships and all of that stuff. And there's an older woman. She does not give up on love, no matter how. I think she's been married like 6 or 7 times. Wow. It doesn't matter, And they all go to like Las Vegas to get their instant divorces. And while she's there, she meets a cowboy, and she's walking off. She's singing yippee-ki-yay, da-da-da, l'amour, l'amour. So, see?
Cool.
Okay.
I remembered one film couple, because I'm not really into romantic films. I'm more of a sci-fi horror type of person. So I think I'm not really this. But so the one film that was romantic that I was obsessed with was Satine and Christian from Moulin Rouge.
Yes. Yeah. See, but here's the thing. Think about a lot of these movies aren't necessarily romantic. I mean, they can be if they are sold that way. Mm-hmm. But you have a lot of movies where you have star-crossed lovers. Like Tick and Letitia in Lovecraft Country.
I've not seen that yet.
Yeah. You haven't seen that?
No, it's not on any of the streaming services I have.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's HBO, right? Yeah. So what these movies talk about is the connectiveness between other human beings, per se, you know what I mean? And that no matter the circumstances or the distance or whatever, how they manage to reconnect or come back together or keep that love alive. Like no matter what the situation, what the circumstances, they still have that feeling of wanting to just express love, And I'm not, yes, the Defiant Ones. Yes, thank you. Kai Liz, yes, the Defiant Ones. And I'm not sappy, but I do love the idea of, I'm a romantic at heart at some point, right? But I'm also emotionally deficient too. Like I like to see it with other people, right? With me, I'm just not sappy that way. Okay, so friends. How do we get here as friends? This is a question I always ask. Are we friends? Are we strangers? At what point do you define a person as your friend? And that's why I have these decks. So this deck, this is the family edition. Okay, it's the family. And I've watched people use this deck in families. If you sat down with one of your siblings and, one of the questions was, if we weren't siblings, would we be friends? And 99% of them said no. Can you imagine? Okay. The amusing deck. Oh, I do have my sexy deck.
There's a sexy deck?
I do have a sexy deck.
They've got a deck for everything.
I do. Friends, right? Because you can know people for a long, long time and not know, right? And one of the things that I loved about these decks is that they ask They give you the prompts to answer so that you can answer these questions honestly. Now, I have one for self. You are not required to answer any question that comes up. You don't. You can pass. You're not pressured, anything like that. Of course, if we're, be digging up stuff, we have healing, strangers. Anyone ever see that movie, Strangers on a Train? That was another dynamic. No? The premise is two people meet on a train and they discuss they each have problems in their life. And person A says, well, if you take care of this for me, I'll take care of that for you. Yes, Hitchcock, right? Hitchcock was another person who had liaisons and relationships and such. Yeah, people couldn't stay away from this man. Brilliant. But strangers on a train. And of course, person A does his thing, but person B has a change of heart. And so the story unfolds. And then that's the deck that started it all. Right? Okay. I'm going to be right back. Did I bring it? I do have one. I'll be right back. Okay. So, all of us are strangers here. Let's see. First question. Oh, this came up before.
What's your first impression of me? Is this regarding you, Queen Orsett?
Well, and whoever answers, I will respond in kind.
Okay. I'll answer. I can't remember when I stumbled across your channel, but it's got to be not long after you started it. And I remember thinking, this woman knows her shit and she does not fuck about, basically. And I was just quite mesmerized, quite frankly. That was my first impression. The Leo, as you like to say, was there.
Yeah. Okay. And my first impression of you, Kelly Bear, was it was very old worldly. You talked about what was it, cabaret?
I used to perform burlesque, yeah.
Yes, right. Very old worldly, a very ethereal, artistic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ethereal is not something I would have thought.
No, that's what
Wow.
Attracted me to you. Okay. You actually remind me of a friend who's a fellow belly dancer, and she's kind of like you. Gothic without going to the extreme of being gothic, subtle, vampirish, there's almost something spidey about you. You just have this way of pulling people in and holding them. That was my first impression of you. Like, oh, who is this person? Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Anyone else want to answer this question?
I'll go.
Go ahead, James.
So once Kelly had started to speak to, when she came across your channel, I was thinking, when was the first time I saw you? And I don't remember the topic of the video as much as I remember your presence. So I think my first impression of you is just very present, like a presence that you can't not see. If there was a room and somebody's presence kind of stands out to you, that's something I would attribute to you, as well as just like a power in your voice, like your inflections. You kind of the words don't have to necessarily be loud to be impactful. So I think you can kind of garner a lot of ears, and like everybody's kind of listening, because what you have to say is usually quite important. You don't just talk to talk. And there was a sort of really sharp honesty and insight in the way that you would speak about things. You kind of would surpass the surface and cut to the layers that I wouldn't have anticipated. So really almost like beautifully unpredictable, but in a really honest way, I think is the best way I could describe my first impression of you.
Thank you. And my first impression of you, you kind of, your words, I don't know how old you are, right? I know it's cliche to say old soul, but it's not even old. It's something like you're a timeless human being. There's something mystical and unearthly about you. Like, you know, so freaking much. Like, I was just listening to you, and I'm going to put you to task too. I was listening to you talk about playing card reading and how you explain that. And I watched your videos about your favorite decks and books that you like to read. And there's something about you it's otherworldly. It's like Dorian Gray. You ever heard the picture of Dorian Gray?
Yeah.
Yes, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, how old is this person? Like, what century is he from? Is he from now? Is he from the past? Is he from the future? Like, there's something that tells me that you have a lot more knowledge than you actually share, right? And I feel like most times when I watch you, I think he should be teaching like in front of a huge audience. He has something to bring. There's something about your presence as well. So that was my first impression of you. Like, you're another ethereal being. Like, he's just timeless. There's something, I don't know, you piqued my curiosity in that regard. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Laura.
I'll go. It's and I'll say it's a bit hard because I don't know now when I would have found your channel first, and I can't think of what would have been the first video or anything like that. So it's hard to separate just impressions versus first impressions, I think. But really thoughtful, and thoughtful in a way of asking really good questions. And getting to the heart of things, I would say.
My first impression of you, Laura, was, okay, you're a bibliophile like I am. This woman, I said, she has an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, books. And I love that. And it's not just books of one genre, it's everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously? She does book reviews that I don't have to go anyplace else to look at the review of that book, right? So my shelves are like, they're bending, you know, they're bowing and such. I have added a few books to my library because of you and such. You know, you are like, my first impression of you, you're like the bibliography in the back of a book. You're like the footnotes in a book. Like, you know what I mean? You just have this way of encapsulating everything. And then you give us a good synopsis. Hi, Candy. Hi, Y. You know what I mean? So I feel like either A, I want to read this book, or B, I don't need to read this book because Laura's given me so much information that I could maybe get another book based on this subject. So yeah, that was my first impression of. Also, my very first impression was, this is also a quiet human being as well. She's quiet. She's powerful. And I always say, don't sleep on the quiet ones. Like, don't underestimate the quiet ones. The same thing like with James. Don't underestimate the quiet ones. Y'all who are listening, don't do that. Don't. It's usually those that are carving out the mountain, the quiet ones. And they're doing it so quietly that the only time you know that that mountain has been dug through is when it starts to fall. And then you're like, what the hell was going on? We didn't know what was happening. So yeah. Okay. All right. Lennon and Jess, I'm going to let you guys go unless you want to answer the question.
Well, I've actually answered this to you before.
Yes.
You want me to tell you again?
No. You can. I'm a Leo. Feed my ego.
Well, I stumbled upon your channel years ago, okay? And you were doing a walkthrough. And you had your little velvet, and it wasn't your face, okay? Mm-hmm. You were just doing your little velvet table, and you were just doing the walkthrough and talking about it. And you didn't like the deck. And you were not afraid to say, okay, I did not like this. And I thought, damn, I've never seen somebody not like a deck in a walkthrough before. And my first impression was that you're real, that you don't care. Like, you don't care that a million people may see this video and that you're stomping on this deck. You didn't care. You didn't seem to care. And I valued that about you in that walkthrough. And the rest is history.
Yeah. And my first impression of you, how did I come across you? Might have been when we did the first summit. Your name kept popping up as well. But I do remember when I posted my first post on your video. We talked about this too. When you had these questions about spirituality, blah, blah, blah. And I was asking, like, spirituality, who is spiritual? Like, do we do a swab test? Like, who's a witch? Do you do a blood test to make that determine? Like, I was asking all of these questions, right? Do you take some sort of exam? Because who are we looking at here? Who is making these determinations? Who's making these blanket statements? And for what purpose? And so that's how I am. I'm going to engage you publicly, because if you throw something out there, I'm going to ask because I want more information, not because I'm being a jerk, not because I'm being, an ass. It's because we have to ask the additional questions. Why do we say this? Is it because someone has always said it? That doesn't mean that it's correct. So I come in, and it's, yes, like with the walkthroughs of decks. I don't say that I dislike a deck just to be ornery or contrary. If I sincerely do not like the deck, I'm going to speak on that, and I'm going to speak on why, and then I'll just take it from there. And Jess, my first impression of you was, I know you're eating, but I was like, the first time I listened to you, I was like, okay, who is this? Who's this young lady? First of all, she got fabulous nails. So that's like three of us, me, you, and right. Show your nails, baby girl. Show your nails, right? Like, MD. Okay. So I'm always, yeah. Right. And then, because of you, I bought a couple of decks as well. And the way that you talk about the decks, and there's something about you. You're juicy to me. You're like a starburst. I know, right? She's like, if you ever watch her, this is me. When I watch her, I feel like I want to go, like, she causes me to pucker. Like, oh, you know what I mean? I don't know what that is. I know, right? That's bizarre. She's juicy in that sense. Her presentation and the way she comes across, it's like so down to earth and blah, blah, blah. And I know you were talking about like your life situation and your husband and your family and all of that, and you're just like, la, 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 la. Yes, this and this and this. And, oh, my nails and, and I was like, who is this? Yes, I need to talk to this person. So yeah. See? All right.
Thank you. I want to give my first impression of you as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me just show off the nails for those of you who didn't get the full look.
Right, get the fullness. Yes.
My first impression of you, I didn't even see you when I got my first impression of you. I follow Tom Benjamin, love his channel. And it was just one of the community posts, the summit that you did, talking about race and tarot and all of that. And his post was basically just like, I felt like it was just an ode to you, even though it was just talking about the what was discussed in the panel. And I hadn't even like clicked on the video yet, and I'm just like, she's goals just for organizing that, and you know, facilitating these difficult conversations that need to be had. And then I went on your channel, just like, oh my God, she's a queen. Like, she's deserving of her name. Like, I was in awe of you when I first, that was my first impression. Like, I hadn't even heard you speak yet. And of course, I'm just like she's a queen, she's royalty, and she's here to like really like make an impact and be a voice. And it was just goals to me, because that's what I aspire to be, you know. And I was just, it's like, bow down to the queen.
Oh no. Oh, thank you. What is it? Who said that? Be the change you wish to see in the world, right? I can only do, an oak tree can only be an oak tree, nothing else, right? And we don't know what our full potential is. That's one of the things when we come to Tarot, it's like you should be on the path of discovering what your full potential is. No one right now at this date today, February 14th, 2021, should know what their full potential is. You can't possibly know. Most of us have at least another 30, 40, 50 years to discover that and unfold that. Because each leg of your journey is going to expose different potentials, different avenues, different things to explore, you know? Julianne Victoria, hello. Hello, Rosalinda. Okay. So I pulled 2 other cards. We're still on strangers, and then we're going to move to friends, because hopefully after this. Oh, okay. Do you prefer to remember or forget your past, and why? Anybody want to share? Go ahead,
I'll
Jess.
go first on that one. I prefer to remember it. Not with rose-colored glasses, obviously. How can I learn from something I forgot? I'll probably have to relearn that lesson. So I want to remember it, dissect it. I journal extensively just so I can go back and revisit if I have to cry over it again. But it's just for evaluation purposes. Like, am I still in that space where I'm prone to having the universe send me that lesson again? Or did I learn it? Did I evolve from that person? If I forget all of that, I'm trying to remember my past lives. Why would I want to forget this one?
Okay. Anyone else? No,
I prefer to. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I definitely prefer to remember. I love just how you spoke to it, because I wasn't going to answer at all along those lines. My first thought was, I love information and history, and I find like so much beauty in things that have happened, and at one point those were all the present. So it's almost like you can enjoy and learn from and be kind of within a present that has already been. So for me, it's more about retaining like information and beauty and experience. But I loved your answer as well, because now I'm like, oh, I think I need to think about it a little differently.
They're both really beautiful answers. I think my problem is I do want to remember, like Jess said, because otherwise, you know, you're going to be repeat the same behavior, get the same results. That's the saying, right? We learn, we learn, and we try to do better, be better. But I think the problem I have with having problems with anxiety disorder is that I'm like a dog with a bone with some stuff, and I can ruminate too much on things, whether it's something that's coming up or something that's already happened. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, but definitely prefer to remember, because I think, you know, we have to learn and grow, right?
Yes. Okay. So that would move us into the next question. Let's see. What's a mistake you make repeatedly, and what would happen if you stopped making it?
Worrying about overthinking everything, and I know it's a lot to do with the way my brain's wired. Like there's that neurological divergence, and it's really hard to get out of that. But yeah, it's because I'm having issues at the moment with health stuff. It's really hard to not constantly be worrying about it. I see people that are really laid back, and I'm like, I just want whatever you've got, please. Just want to chill out, have a break from my head for like a day.
So what would happen if you can worry about things? Think about what the possibility of what would happen if you stopped worrying.
I would be able to just be in the moment a bit more and just enjoy each day as it comes, I think. Especially at the moment, I'm in this place where it's so much like I'm focusing on what, like, for example, I've got something I've got to do tomorrow and I'm stressed about it, and I can't, and I keep doing this thing in my head where I'm like, in 12 hours it'll be over, or like, or in 18 hours it'll be done. And I think I would just be able to just go, okay, that's a thing, worrying about it isn't going to change it, let's just watch some Schitt's Creek or read a book. But because I'm ruminating, I can't focus on reading or watching anything, or it's really annoying. Brains are stupid.
Okay. So is there anything that you can do to stay present?
It's a tricky one, because a lot of anxiety, there's anxiety exercises they say to be present and to calm your anxiety, to sort of become aware of your body. But when you're living with chronic pain, then there's other, I know as well. But when there's other mystery health stuff, and they're saying pay attention to it, and you're literally telling me to go into that pain, it's really hard. So it's really hard to it's basically, I think I need escapism at the moment, but it'd be really nice to just be present. I don't know how.
Okay.
I don't know how to do that, which is why I'm stuck where I am at the moment.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
For Kelly Bear. You just said something about escapism. Do you think, in your opinion, that that's why you like sci-fi and fantasy?
I've always been into just anything that's quick, because I love history as well. I love me a period drama.
Right, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like fantasy, like that. It doesn't put me in this world. It allows me to be in somebody else's world. So that's where I was going.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just think because when I got being a child of the 80s, a lot of the stuff that I was exposed to, like, The Dark Crystal and Blade Runner, and everything was it was just the genre that I was probably most exposed to, horror and stuff, cheesy horrors. But I don't know, there's the problem I have is because I can't focus on the escapism at the moment, because the stress keeps coming in and going, ooh, so I'll be watching something and going, this is great, and then the little intrusive thoughts come in. So it's a thing. But yeah, I'd like to just kick that.
Okay, so as a card slinger, you have no deck on your shelves that can help you?
I haven't touched a deck now in at least 4 weeks, because I cannot even, everything has fallen by by the wayside. I don't want this to turn into the Kelly thing therapy though. But yeah, I just if I could not be such a worrier, that would be really great.
Okay, so I have a deck, and I know Bosade has this deck too. It's a self-care deck, right? And it's one of those decks that you can ask, what can I do to stop the worrying or stop thinking about this? And you pull a card, and it will tell you, go take a bath, go for a walk. Like, sometimes we just need that instruction. And basically, we need the permission of that instruction to do that. Because even just taking that action to say, put on your walking shoes, and I'm just going to walk for 10 minutes. You're right, for 10 minutes, you start to move yourself into that place. Okay, for 10 minutes, I'm going to walk. So you've already started to shut down the worrying stuff, right? And I'm just throwing that out there. Like, Of course, I'm not, medical professional, blah, blah, blah. But as card slingers, we tend to, I know with our tarot cards, we tend to get so esoteric that we forget the realness and the humanness of what these tools are supposed to be for. They're supposed to help us, right? So you haven't touched a tool that could help you move forward, and simply because that's not the tool. Maybe, you know what I mean? That's not the tool.
Yeah.
Maybe you need just a kitschy type of deck that says, take a freaking shower. You know what I mean? Like I have my tough shit tarot that will tell you that. Take a freaking shower, or, eat some vegetables, right? Make a smoothie. Like it could be just something just directly like that. We might think, oh, it's not that simple. It's not so important. But where we are with quarantine, I think that we have to remember to do the simple things. Just getting out of bed, just you being here right now is you being present in spite of everything. So you're focusing on, while I'm talking to you, while you're speaking, are you worrying about anything?
There's the little niggle at the back of the head.
I know
it's a lot quieter right now. Yeah.
Yeah, right. They're not quite. The peanut gallery will always. Yeah, But that's what I was saying. Sometimes we have to find different things, okay? And it's about, only you can do it. Only you can reprogram your brain and then offer yourself those rewards. You're right. Brains are weird things. They're weird organs. And considering where we are now in quarantine, we are at a place where we have nothing to do but to cuddle up with our brains and all of these thoughts and all of these things and get to know ourselves. We thought we knew everything about us, but when you don't have the outside distractions and all of that, you really have to sit with yourself. Okay. And I'm not talking about shadow work, whatever, that whole blanket umbrella thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, I'm going to pull a card that tells me that I should paint my toenails blue. And I'm going to do that. And you might say, oh, you know what? I don't have any blue nail polish. Well, you got a blue magic marker and you're an artist. You know what I'm saying? You're just going to do something. You're going to pull a card that says, maybe you should do finger painting. You should draw a painting. And you do that. And you focus the whole time you're painting. That's all you're doing. You're just focusing on that painting. You're focusing on that drawing. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Because returning to our mental health right now is going to be vitally important. And sometimes, we need the realness. We need the warm porridge and the oatmeal cookies and the Jell-O right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's great to have the nutritious stuff, but I want mashed potatoes and garlic. I want baked chicken and chocolate and ice cream, right? Embrace your COVID plush, as I call it, right? Like everybody else complaining. I'm like, what? Yes, COVID plush. Yeah. You understand? And I think that would help, because eventually the world will open back up, and that's going to be even scarier, because it's going to go from 0 to 100. We're not going to go back into a world where we're going to ease our way back in. No way, no way. Not at all. So that's just something I want you to think about. That's all. Where's my deck? I have it. It's a self-care deck. And it's kind of like, I know Bosade has it. She's listening. And it's a great little kitschy deck. And ironically enough, I was not going to get the deck because, I don't like kitschy decks, But sometimes I need permission. It's okay for me to give I've learned that it's okay for me to give myself permission that I can leave the laundry. I can pile up the laundry and sit down and doodle. I can leave the stack of books and papers and get in a bubble bath, or I can blow bubbles. You know what I'm saying? The theme tonight, Oak Mama, is love, self-love. Love, baby, love in all its respect. Just say that. You see that word, the vibration of that word, love. Like, you can't even say it harshly. I fucking love you. Even that you can't. You know what I mean? You can't even say that. There's still that passion there, right? Love. Yeah, peace and love upon each other, hug each other, like all of that stuff, right? So yeah, I just, because I know about chronic pain. And when you get into that safer space with yourself, your chronic pain isn't so chronic. It isn't. It's manageable. Because, chronic pain will take your joy.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So just something to think about. So what's a mistake you make repeatedly, and what would happen if you stop making it? What do you have, Laura?
I've got one. A mistake that I keep on making, that I know I keep on making, but I keep on making anyway. I am really not good at saying no to things when I'm overextended. And so I'll take things on and take things on. And, I have 2 jobs, and they're both jobs that creep in. They're not 9 to 5 and then you get to go home and forget about it. They're, even before all of this, there's a lot of emailing and a lot of, Zooming and all of these kinds of things. And so they can balloon very, very big, and then taking on other commitments as well. And then I'll pile up the laundry and all the rest of it. And, and it just, and then I get in the mindset of, well, I can sleep a little bit less. It's fine. I can eat a little bit less. It's fine. I can eat a little bit more crap and a little bit less, home cooked goodness, and it'll be fine, because that's where I'll find the time. And so I'm not protective of my time in the ways that I should be. And I keep doing it. And I know I keep doing it, but
you are in charge of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I know that other people call it being self-possessed, right? When people say, and for some odd reason, this statement was running in my mind, you're so full of yourself. Well, yes, I should be. Who else should I be full of? I should be full of myself, so that I don't allow crap to come to me. You should be. A rose
and I know
doesn't apologize for having thorns, does it? And you still appreciate that rose.
And I know
right?
what would happen if I stopped making it.
What would happen?
I would be better at the things that I really want to do, that I am really invested in, right? Like, because I'd be less stretched thin between a whole bunch of things that maybe I could just let somebody else do it.
Okay. So 7 of Pentacles, make that investment in yourself, right? Like, do you not believe that you're worth it? Do you not believe that you're entitled to that?
And you know what? When I was in counseling for anxiety that got so severe it was affecting my eyesight, my counselor asked me that question and said I didn't answer fast enough. That's it.
Well, this is not a time limit. There's no time limit on this, but for it to come up again, maybe it's just something for you, right? And you have to say that, like, I deserve this. I am a valuable human being. And the reason why I'm doing this? Okay, so you guys, again, my platform is all about relationships and race relations, right? And seriously, you can't help me if you can't help you. You can't. Right? I don't want to be a project for you. I don't want to be another thing that you take on. I don't want this fight that we're in to be another thing that's added to your list of things to do. And that's why in my last video, I talked about, I don't want to be a hashtag, and I don't want to be an acronym. Okay. We need to stop that. I'm not a hashtag. I'm not an acronym. I'm another human being. Right? But the only way that you can help all of us grow really is to work on taking care of you. Right? And sometimes it takes someone who is outside. Like, I don't know you. Like I said, I'm reading from strangers. I don't know you. So you're getting this from a stranger.
Yeah.
Right? Take care of you, because many of the problems come from people not taking care of themselves and not feeling that they are worth it. Okay? I'm looking at 5 people right here who are highly valuable, definitely worth it. Screw what other people say, because I'm telling you, other people are going to want to be and doing what you're doing, and they're going to know. You have a platform that people come to. Use that as a place of empowerment. Okay? Don't worry about this whole thing. You know, we get into this thing about, I want to be liked. What? Like, why? Why would you want that? Right? I want to be liked. That's a given. You know what I mean? Why is that something that you should strive for, like you're training for the freaking Olympics?
Yeah.
Right? I want to help people. Well, duh, you're a human being. That's a given. That's what you were born here to do. That is your life purpose. Like, is that a degree that you get to help people? Like, how do you want to help people? And that's where people are like stunned. Like, oh, well, you know. No, you don't. You don't want to help people. You don't. You want to show off because you got this, that, blah, blah, blah. And you feel like you're helping people, but you're using other people as a footstool. You're not helping other people. And see, that's okay too. This is where transparency comes in. And you just say, you know what? I'm really not interested, but I need 50,000 subscribers on my channel. So whatever I got to do, that's what I want. Right? But even with that, that person puts themselves first. And I'm telling all of you, please put yourself first. I'm telling you, you can do nothing for me if you don't put yourself first. You know the airplane acronym, right? The flight attendant tells people that, kid, the plane is going down, that you're supposed to do what? Put yours on first. Please put your oxygen mask on first. Please. Okay? So repetitive behavior that's detrimental, look at that and say, okay, why am I doing it? You know, is it barbed wire? Is it a form of protection? Is it an excuse? Right? Because sometimes we fall into that too, because it's safer. Right? I don't want to open up my heart because I don't want to get hurt again. And I'm only talking because been there, still there, going through it, dealing with it. Everyone knows how much I love my son, but there were times when I hated being a mother. And any woman who's had a child, and you don't have to give birth, if you had a pet, you can't tell me that everything's wonderful 24 freaking 7, cleaning up dog shit, cat vomit. Like, seriously? Baby puke on my suit, stinky diapers at the most inopportune time. If you have a plant that you have to take care of, and you don't get it, put it in the right light. Like, I have special lights for my plants now. It's freaking February 14th. They're plants, but I have to have a light so they can thrive. You follow me?
Optimal conditions.
Yes. Okay. But this is pretty much across the board for anything. My sewing machines, like if I don't oil my machines and clean them, they're not going to perform well. They're not going to give me the joy that I expect from them. So it's the same thing with like all of our relationships, everything. But if I don't take care of me first, I can't do a damn thing for anybody else. Right? Being a martyr is not attractive. Sacrificing yourself. That's not attractive, honey. That you know, don't do that. Anybody else? James, you don't have any mistakes? It's okay.
Oh, I have so many. I don't think I could pick just one. I think that's why I passed on that one.
What you got? You want to share one or no?
Ooh, okay, let me think. The first one that came to my mind, and I noticed this right when I signed on and you put your name, your screen name, I just automatically thought, I am I always forget like gender and I guess etiquette surrounding that, and that's something that I guess if I stopped making it, I would stop putting my foot in my mouth so often, and communication would flow easier. And that's more about just being cognizant of the other human being and how they identify and who they are in an environment. And so I think it speaks to more than just the idea of pronouns, but I think that just being more cognizant of that going into situations and not making that mistake so often could really, could be better for a lot of people. For me,
You know, human beings on the whole are very forgiving. We, unfortunately, feel like we have to give everything a freaking label. I look at each of you and your gender and your race, your ethnicity, your education, none of that matters to me. None of it whatsoever. You can have all of those freaking labels and acronyms and all of that behind your damn name. And if you are an ass, you are an ass. And that's the only thing. That's the only label that you're going to get from me. And I think, we get to this place where because we're trying to get it right, that's where we mess up. Why don't we did I ask any of you what your gender is? Like, how do you want to be identified or anything like that? We're having a conversation. None of that came up, right? I don't know. Right? But if I go into this every conversation with this presupposition, like, okay, they're male presenting or female presenting, but maybe they're they or them, I would never get anything done. Like, I would never be able to engage another human being. And I have done readings for clients where I remember years ago I was doing a romance reading, and it was a woman, and I'm sitting there, and we're talking about this relationship and where we're talking, blah blah blah, and automatically, I'm thinking that it's someone of the opposite sex, and she told me that she was in a same-sex relationship, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. We just kept on going. No big deal. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was like nothing.
Yeah, the thing is, James, obviously pronouns are important to many people. I have a lot of trans and non-binary or non sort of gender conforming friends, and the one thing that I don't want to speak for those friends, but when they've said to me, especially friends that I knew before they had transitioned or before they had come out as non-binary and I messed up with their pronoun, the one thing they said is don't make a big deal about it, just say they, there, she, here, you just correct yourself and you continue. You don't go, oh my god, sorry, because then you're putting the onus onto them to make you feel better about fucking up, basically. So and we're getting to a point, I think, now where a lot of people, especially in the queer communities that I sort of, at least online at the moment that I'm in, will say what their pronouns are up front. But yeah, it's about just if you mess up, you correct, you carry on, you don't make a big deal out of it. And I think that can be very helpful, and not to sort of not beat yourself up, especially if it's someone you've known before they've transitioned, because it can be tricky. If I meet someone and I get their pronouns straight off the bat without knowing them, I've noticed that I will always stick to it because I have no other idea of who they were beforehand. So yeah, try not to beat yourself up about it, James.
Yeah. Bye, why? I know. It's part of life, right? At the end of the day, we're just human, and that's the one thing. That's the one label that I just want us to really get a deep understanding of. Human. Just treat me like a human being. That's it, and then we can build on everything else. Because I can give you labels for me, but I just want to grab that human thing. But yeah, I get it. So, relax. That's the whole, that's one of the things I've learned. People, on the whole, for the most part, are very forgiving when it comes to things that are, quote unquote, out of societal norm. We're the ones that make a big deal about it. But they just, and when I say that, I'm talking about everybody across the board, no matter what it is,
And this just reminds me of and what Queen, I saw what you were sharing reminds me of a friend of mine I've been having this conversation with, and we've both been asked in different contexts or have had people who are tarot enthusiasts mention to us, I really want to get better at reading cards for LGBT clients. And it's like, can you help me with this? And it's like, what does that mean? Like, don't talk about me like I'm an alien who, you want to be taught how to interact with, all that means is you have some internalized, presumptions and things like this, and that you need to work on. It's not about anything about how to read for a client. It's about
that's
right.
So interesting. Yeah, that's so interesting. That makes me think of a time when I started my degree many moons ago, and we had a lot of international students. I went to the London College of Fashion, and there was this girl that was from a very provincial part of England, and she came up to me one afternoon and she said, I just wanted to ask you how you've made friends with so many of the international students. I'd made friends with some of the Japanese students and Italian and Greek, and I said, what do you mean? And she said, you just always seem to talk to them. How do you talk to them? And I said, you talk to them like people, like you just start a conversation and you talk to them. She was like, oh really? She just like, her mind was blown, and she's like, even the little Japanese girl. I was like, oh my god. But I think I came from I'm a Londoner, a born and raised mixed environment, and it just blew her mind. She was like, oh, there was only one black girl in my whole school. I was like, I can't even imagine like what that must have been like. But she was just like treating these like foreign students as if they were like aliens. And I did see her the next day having a conversation with that Japanese girl. Her name was Ja, by the way, and she was going, hi, my name is Laura. And she used her real name, but she won't see this. And I was like, oh my god, just what are you doing? No.
Poor thing. Poor baby.
She got better over time, but it was just like people sometimes just don't get it. They just don't have that experience. It was so out of her ken.
I know. Okay, so here's another question for you. When do you feel the most loved?
Okay, I'll answer.
Go ahead.
I have a very, very dry sense of humor. Okay, like not a lot's gonna get me to laugh. Okay, and just happens that my husband is a comedian, right? Like, real, he laughs all the time. He watches comedy. And he tells joke. I think the only reason we're together is because he made it his mission to like make me to laugh, And when we are together, and of all the little things that he does for me every day, it's the giddy. He'll tell something, and then I won't laugh, and then that'll make him mad. But then we just start we'll look at each other, and we'll just fall out laughing, like because he couldn't make me laugh. And it's that giddiness. I just, in those moments of high, like can't stop laughing kind of a moment, in those moments, I feel utterly like this person knows me and wants to, and is sharing this moment with me. And I feel utterly loved in that moment. So it lies in the little moments for me. Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else?
I want to go, but my husband is putting away the dog, so just excuse the noise.
Sure.
There's a question for me. But I'm a words of affirmation kind of gal, and I feel the most loved when I feel seen and validated by my loved ones. Like, for example, I'm losing, I'm on a journey to lose weight. My husband is not a compliments type of person. And the other day he hugged me, we're in bed and he hugged me and he's just like, who is this? You're going to disappear soon. So I know that's his way of giving the 20 pounds that I've lost. So I know that was difficult for him to like, that's the closest I'm going to get to a compliment. So I feel like that was an effort that was made, and I really love them. Yeah, validate me, tell me I'm awesome and beautiful, and I'm achieving something in my life, and yeah, I'll be up here.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Feel loved when people remember things that were really just like insignificant that I maybe said, because then I feel like they were paying attention or heard me, and that I was on their mind when I wasn't in their presence. So like when my friend will say something, or I just say it again because I assume it was just forgettable, and so I'm like, oh, they probably didn't remember or whatever. I just say it again, and they're like, oh no, or they bring it up. I'm like, oh wow, like it just makes me feel so special and remembered and like a part of them, like they cared to know that all about me or something.
Anyone else? I can't answer that question.
Oh.
No, I can't. Okay. But I can answer this one. When was the last time you cried? And why? The last time I cried was this morning. Because it's another Valentine's Day. It's been a long time since I've been with someone. So, Julianne Victoria, I see what you said when your baby says, I want you. Yeah. So that, I know a lot of people look at me and think that I'm an unfeeling, hard-ass bitch. Well, I am, but I still have feelings, And I like the human things, too. Bye, Julianne. Enjoy. Oh, yeah. Anyone else? The last time you cried and why?
I cried 2 days ago. My son is 16. He lives with his father, and his father and I were going at it, and it was not pretty. But in the end, I asked my son, if he wanted to come back and live with me, and he said no. And I cried because I felt like he chose his father over me, which obviously there's obviously much more to his decision than I can, than he probably told me or anything. But I just felt like I didn't get chosen. And then I also felt like all of the history that his father and I have, and I felt like I lost, like I'm the loser in that situation. And I felt like I was painted, not only was I painted as the bad guy, I'm also the loser in the situation. So I cried. And then I realized that that was more ego than anything, that this is a step in my evolution and in my growth, and that those are just wounds I need to heal and just let go. And that my son still loves me, and that it's not anything against me personally. It's just the way it is. But it hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. For those of you who are single, would you ever date outside of your race? Why or why not? Or you can pretend to be single and answer this question, especially now where you are.
Some of us are not single but have dated out of our race. Yeah, for sure. I've dated out of my race more than once. It's always been about the person, right? Not about. Yeah. I mean, And it's interesting, most of the people that I've dated have almost always been friends beforehand. I don't know, it's just the way I tend to roll, because there's a level of safety and comfort there. So then you get to know them very well before anything else happens. So.
Okay.
Same answer.
Same answer.
Yeah,
Tell me
Kelly.
about. I'm sorry, Jess.
I was thinking about this. I think it was like yesterday or this morning. I would date, or I have dated outside of my race, but I was like just having a conversation with myself about dating a white person, and if I could do that. Like I know I've been attracted to white people, but it's just my experience. I just don't know if I could do it because of being a Black Latinx first generation. Like there's so many things, and then I'm also, like my spirituality is not a traditional spirituality. Like, it's just, there's just so many things that obviously if if they're the right person, it doesn't matter. But like, would I date to try to find that person that would understand all of the things that I have to, all of my experience? And I still honestly don't know the answer to that. But I was thinking about that a couple of days ago. I don't know why I was thinking it, but I was just like, would I date a white person being all that I am? And I still don't know.
Well, okay. So I was an experiment and an experience with this white guy. He had a fantasy of dating, being with a woman of color. He had a fantasy, It was interesting because then, he felt safe enough to ask all the questions, a lot of questions. He felt safe enough and open enough to ask the questions about comparisons and such, all of that, right? But he was not strong enough to handle the potential of the fallout that society would bring to the relationship. So yeah. And I get what you're saying, Jess, because you come with all of that. And that was my experience of, dating outside of my race. It doesn't matter, but you always have that in the back of the mind. Like, am I an experiment for you? Is this something you just want? Am I a dare for you? Is this a fantasy you want to fulfill? Right? To get to that place. Like, what is this? Do you really? Okay. So it gets to this question of the hoodoo tarot, right? So hoodoo came about from the most heinous crime committed against other human beings. That is the root and the premise of hoodoo. Okay. And hoodoo is African American. It's Black American. It comes from the experience of Black Americans. Hoodoo's not practiced. We don't call it hoodoo in Jamaica. It isn't. Right. But the root of how hoodoo came into being is because of the most heinous crimes committed against fellow human beings. Okay. So when people who are not African American or Black come to me and they ask me, can I practice hoodoo? Can I read with that deck? Well, that's two different questions. Sure, you can read with that deck, but are you willing to understand the root and learn about the root of how this came into being? Or do you want to feel comfortable enough that you can gloss over that? Because hoodoo wouldn't exist if all that crap didn't happen. So when you come in, and it's the same thing like coming into ATR, African traditional religion, right? Obia or Santeria, Lukumi, Ifa, Voodoo, Vodun, whatever you want to call it. Are you willing to take on the root, the yoke of these practices? Or do you just want, the wearing the whites and setting up, talking to Papa Legba? Do you want just that? So, so just this question of dating outside of your race, like you said, we're a whole thing. All of these things they make up who we are on the entirety. Like we can't parcel ourselves out. You know what I mean? Even the way that we read Tarot, our experiences in engaging that. And maybe that's why that's such a big thing with me. When I say diversity within the Tarot community, I'm not talking about just having representation. That doesn't, there are millions of people. We could never have a deck that represents everybody, right? But I'm asking for representation realistically, authentically, right? You cannot tell me that producing in 2021 all Caucasian decks is even realistic. In what world? That's what I'm saying, right? And art, it comes from life. So if a person, and this is we're still there. You're putting out this artwork, and as an artist, you are free to do whatever you want. But what lens are you looking at the world through? And are you being really honest with yourself at the end of the day? Are you creating art for art's sake, and then you get upset when your sales are down or people aren't open and receptive? You can't have it both ways, right? But you have to be honest with yourself. And that's my biggest thing. Like, like I said, I don't need to be seen in a deck, whatever that means. But I do want it to be understood that I see the world differently. And I guess I'm just trying to understand why the rest of the world doesn't see the world the way I see it. Why is there this great need for separatism? Why? Why can't we? And then of course, we have the other extreme where you can't represent you can't, it's impossible. But here's the thing, if we never have the conversation, we'll never start doing anything, And I was just talking to someone yesterday, and I said, when I did the summit in September and then again in December, just the other day I was asking myself, why did I do it? Why? Why? Why am I doing this? Because really, I just see where it's hard. Like this is a tough road. And it's like, what am I doing to myself? Why am I even bothering? Why did I take this on? I know I did the first one because it was like, I'm watching everybody just all over the place trying to do this, defeat racism and fight racism and Black Lives Matter and blah, blah, blah. And there's just so much stuff and all of this news and information, everything, you're drowning out the voices that needed to be heard. That's why I did the first one, And the second one was to see, like, well, what have we done? Where have we gone? What have we achieved? And the third one is coming up in March because people have actually reached out to me, authors and deck creators. They're like, I want to be part of this discussion. But at the end of the day, I still ask, why? Why am I doing this? Yeah. You're right, Heidi. Some guys want to know. They want a full-figured Zaftig woman. I want you guys to change your words, okay? Full-figured, luscious-sized goddess woman, but not in the open. Nothing wrong with that, okay? You don't want to lose weight. You want to release weight. We tend to mourn what we lose, okay? Be thankful for the body that you have right now. Embrace that COVID plush, as I said. There are a lot of people who would trade places to have what you have. There are many cultures in the world. Like if you're not tipping the scale, then you just not, you know what I mean? Like they will feed you to fatten you up before you get married. Right? And we live in a society where we have so much food to eat that, weight, quote unquote, could be an issue. Right? Yeah. So as long as you're healthy, but you have to, in your mind, you have to be healthy. Because if the mind is not settled, no matter how much weight you lose, you'll never be happy. Okay? All right. Tell me about a time when you broke someone's trust and what you did to gain it back. Really? You never broken anyone's trust? And this one. Tell me about the last time you did something nice for yourself. And that goes all the way back to what I was talking about. You deserve it.
Yesterday. Oh, why do I hear it?
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I heard an echo. Yesterday, I was still, having a pretty emotional day from the day before, and then I went to the gym because that's my solution to whenever I feel funky. Go run it out and go do some yoga. So I went to the gym. I worked out. Then, and my sister, I heard my sister leaving. Like, where are you going? She's like, the mall. I was like, I'm going with you. I haven't been in the mall in months. And then we were at Marshall's and there were some nice candles, beautiful, beautiful scented candles. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it. I was gonna buy one, and then I was like, treat yourself. I bought them both.
Right.
And then I bought this room fragrance spray that smells amazing. So yeah, I treated myself to some scents. And then last night I lit one of them next to my bed while I read.
Okay. All right. So we've never broken anyone's trust. Not that we're aware of.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. There must have been somewhere along the line but someone's maybe not mentioned it. I've never, not as far as I know, not deliberately or inadvertently.
One that I can think of that's I guess not exactly a straightforward this happened and the trust was gone. I guess it's like all things in life, it's complicated with people. So one time when I felt like I broke someone's trust, I guess, was it was when I was going through the process of coming out in my life, and I was at a party, and with I was in college, so I had my school friends, and there was a friend from home, one of my oldest best friends to this day, and I hadn't told them yet, and I guess they heard through other people, and I felt, and they, of course, then thought that they did something wrong that I wouldn't have told them, and to me, it made me feel like I broke their trust because I didn't trust them with this thing about myself, but yet other people knew it that were newer to my life or that knew me less, and it was more about understanding where they were coming from. And for me, it was more the idea of them having more meaning because I know them so well and they're so important, and it being harder to reach that place and say it. And so in that moment, I did feel like they felt like I couldn't trust them, or that some element of our trust was in this weird nebulous state. And I hadn't ever considered trust in that way until that moment, in the way that trust can kind of happen or be broken through something that's not malicious or something like that. Even when all the intentions are good and there, it somehow can just fall through the cracks. And for me, that was something that was really an interesting lesson to learn, I guess, or an experience to have in trust.
That's interesting.
Essence 818. Yeah, I know. breaking our children's trust. Let's just say that, like we said, it's not that we're unaware. Some things you take to your grave. I'll put it that way, right? Yeah. That's my way of repairing it. Right? You just redirect the attention. I'll put it to you that way, right? You know. Okay. All right. So we're gonna use a whew. All right. When were you at your most primal state, and what did you learn from it? When were you at your most primal state, and what did you learn from it? You guys got to think.
I feel like Lennon has well, I know Lennon a little bit better, but I feel like Lennon would have such a good answer for this. Not to put you on the spot, definitely.
You just put me on the spot, James. What the hell?
When I hear the word primal, like energy, I'm like, I just think of you. I don't know. So I'm like, sorry.
Do I have to let my hair down for this? Jeez.
Yes. See, there you go. She's getting into it.
No, okay. Primal. Does that mean like in my prime somehow? And is this like in a, y'all want something specific or general?
Okay. See, when I hear primal, I'm thinking base animalistic devil card. Like, yeah.
Okay.
No, it's Valentine's Day.
I know.
What?
I have one. I just don't know how naughty. Like,
James just put me in the hot seat, so you go ahead, okay?
Okay, so this happens. I've discovered this fairly recently in the last few weeks, but I meditate for at least half an hour every day, and I'm always searching for that silence. So to me, that's my primal state, right? When we're silent, we're not bombarded with all of these worries and all of this stuff. So it happens that when I reach that quiet where I'm there and I'm in full-on meditation mode, I get very excited down there.
Gotcha.
and I have to incorporate some self-love when I should be meditating. But I think that's as primal as it gets, right? Because we're just like we're just stripped completely down of our worries and all of, of everything that's happening. And I'm silent, and at my quietest, I'm my horniest. There, I said it.
Amazing.
I relate.
Right?
Well, I've never had a problem with being upfront with what I like. If I like something, you're gonna know. And if I don't like something, I have no problems laying on my back going, okay, you're gonna stop now. You're gonna stop now. I don't like that. We're gonna move on to the next thing. Okay. What was number 3 in your book? Let's go to that. Okay. I've never had a problem with that. So I guess when you say the most primal state and then what did you learn from it? It's more so of I have to learn how to shut up sometimes and experience things instead of just automatically saying, I'm not going to like that. And maybe allow myself to try a few new things. That may be my problem more so than, because like James said, I'm probably on the other side of primal. Maybe I need to be a little bit more of a lamb. So I think that's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Anybody else? No.
Okay. I honestly think, because I think primal, like there's been times when I've been in nature where I've felt where I've been stood under a waterfall, out in the wilds and wild swimming in the fairy pools of Scotland. And I feel being in the Highlands of Scotland in the Cairngorms is one of the most magical places for me. And I just feel so, with all the woodland, like all the forests around you, and then this clear, beautiful water. It's just, I feel so part of the world. For me, that feels primal. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was thinking about skinny dipping.
Yeah.
Oh, see?
Which not even like a really sexy one, just a everything off and run with a big scream, like and jump off something into the lake.
I know.
It's like, yes.
So Candy says,
good.
yes, Candy, I gave birth with no drugs. Okay, I did. Okay, don't ever want to repeat that again, but I did it. Okay. What was the question? Because my mind, I had a visual. I went down memory lane. Okay, so
Primal moment.
Yeah, primal moment, which is I encountered someone. So we talk about nature. You know, you're out, and I encountered a stranger, and you know, you just get that close, and then something says no. That right. But you know, for 30 seconds, you're like, well, no one would know. I don't know this person. They could be a serial killer. You know what I mean? Like for 30, you process all of this stuff. Okay. But my biggest worry was like the ground. There's nothing to lay on. that was my biggest worry.
That's funny.
And I just thought like this is like it's like a fantasy. People don't talk about things like this, but you know, you encounter that stranger and you have that encounter that you would never talk to anyone about because they wouldn't believe that, oh my God, how could you do something so irresponsible, blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? All of that stuff. Just think about feeling everything in regards to society just disappearing when you encounter this. That's how it was when I encountered this human being. It was like magical, right? It's like being transported to another, like I felt like I was transported to another realm and such. You know, you didn't think about, oh, I don't know, safe sex, like are they married? You know, things like all of those things, those human things, gone. And that's what I remember. Like none of that was in my mind. The only thing in my mind was like, we don't have a blanket. Like everything would be perfect. Like where's the
Look, you should have told that mofo to take you up against a tree, not on the ground.
I mean, you know what I mean? I think maybe that's well, of course, that's what brought me back to reality because I'm thinking like if this was a magical encounter, then you would know that
I'm getting pine straw burned.
Right. You know, exactly. You know, yes. Damn, I don't want to get a splinter in my ass. Like, seriously, how would I explain that? You know? So, okay. All right. Okay. Who has a good voice, a singing voice? Sing.
Weren't
what
you
think.
don't you sing, Lennon?
What do you
I'm
mean?
sorry.
No, I sing on my channel, okay, but I never say that I'm good, okay? I sing because I like when I have a thought and it makes me relate. Like I think about a song, like especially in my dating the tarot, everything I did, if, like a date or something, it would make me think of a Billy Ocean song, and I would just belt out a verse of that, you know, it just because that's who I am. But I never admit that I've got a good voice, okay?
Right.
Why do you ask, Queen Alset?
Because there's a question here that says, sing what you think the inside of my brain sounds like.
Sing it. What, like a song or a sound?
Either one. What do you think this inside of my brain sounds like?
It's got to be some kind of Aretha Franklin track in my head. I can see you, like, you know, I don't know. I just get Aretha.
You think?
Because I'm thinking, you better think about
yes.
what you do to me. Oh, now think.
Yeah.
Freedom,
Hey, okay.
freedom.
What you got, Lennon?
No, I don't have anything yet. But what about? No, I'm asking. Like, do you have a genre that you could give us and that we could guess from that? like jazz or.
Okay. So before I came on, I was singing. So I could think of, I love reggae, jazz. It doesn't matter, right? You know what I mean? Afrobeat, everything. But I was, let me see if I can get this tune. And I'm not a singer. Wings and pizza.
I don't know that.
What?
Come on, Jess. Come on.
There's oh wow. There's
Wings
some
and
hoes in
pizza.
this house.
Oh,
wow.
Oh my
God. Okay.
Get a bucket and a mop for this. Okay.
Right.
You
Valentine's
asked me at Wings
Day.
and Pizza. I was just like, what?
I'm like, what the
that?
fuck is
I thought it was like a commercial, but yeah, I was playing that before we came on too. I always put like whenever I just consider all of my life a stage, you know, all the world's a stage, and I have to prepare myself to like get in front of my audience. So I have like a going out playlist that is chock full of Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, and Beyonce, Princess Nokia, and City Girls. And WAP was coming on. My husband's like, "Are you going on YouTube to talk about tarot, or are you going to the club?" I'm just like, I'm getting ready.
If that's your
Right,
going
so-
out playlist, we need to go out because that sounds like something I would get ready to also.
Is
Yes.
see, right? So see, okay, so someone had told me once. She said I had, I got this Reiki, so I got Reiki. I have Reiki levels and all of that stuff. And she said years ago, she said it's hard for me to believe, Queen, like you're so put together, so uptight that you would even fart. I'm like, I'm human. Like that's a body function. Like, what do you mean? You gotta release that. Like, do I
Let her
come
out the
across
wind.
that way so uptight? So now you know what's going on. See, I'm giving you already, Lennon. You don't have to think about what's going on in my brain, because seriously, that's where my brain is. My brain is always about like body. Like I'm doing all that kind of, and then I press record and like, okay, well, this card, and I'm not really sure. Okay. Right? Okay. Right? Like, that's where I am. Like, seriously, I am all about, the sensuality and the sexuality. And, I love Cardi B. I do. Because she's just so far there, and she's so real in herself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's a parody of herself, and I appreciate her for that. So yes, I say Wings and Pizza because it's
I was
just
so
easier for
like,
me.
is this some kind of comedy song I've not heard
know.
of? It's like,
Yes, Wings and Pizza. So I say that. It's just yes, right.
That's next time I hear that song, that is literally what I'm going to hear now is Wings and Pizza.
Yes,
That's
you
it now.
are. See, you can you can now safely hum that song, right? And nobody would. They'd be like, "What?" There isn't anybody who doesn't know that tune. So, Lennon, back to you. So, what does the inside of my brain sound like? What do you think?
Is it supposed to be a song?
I don't know. It doesn't have to be. Give me a sound. Give me a sound. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I see, when I think of brains, I don't necessarily go to music. I go to the sound of things swooshing. Like those things at the banks where the mail goes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's what I think of when I think of brains. I think of things swooshing about, like
Right.
from one side of a nerve ending to another. And it's all about this thought needs to go over here and this thought needs to go over here. So it's more like a kind of a sound than a song.
Okay.
But I like that WAP is your anthem. I do. I like that.
Oh, yeah. So what? No. Okay. No. So that was my anthem last year. And the year before, my anthem was, because the Tarantistas, they know this. Offset's Army, that every year we have a theme song. So it was Money, was that one. Okay. So last year it was WAP. And this year it's Walk. Did I send you the link?
Me?
Okay. You better walk. Right? You can talk all of this, da 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 da, but let me see you walk. No? You haven't heard that song? Okay. I'm going to send it to you so you can listen to it. All right. We're going to do this exercise now. Close your eyes. And when I say this word, I want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. Are your eyes closed? We'll try this ASMR thing. Is it working so far? Okay. Octopus.
Tentacles.
Oh, see.
Touching.
James Bond.
I said reach.
Jess, did you say anything?
I said pussy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry, am I allowed? Are we allowed to curse?
Okay. Hey, look, there's a blouse with that name. Okay, there's a blouse with that. It has a tie.
Pussy bow.
Right? Yeah, pussy bow blouse. Exactly. Right. Pussy cat. Yeah.
Was that because of Octopussy?
Right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
said James Bond, so it's
Yeah, James Bond. All right. All right. Let's try this word. Cardstock.
Contentious.
Core.
What did you say, James?
Core. Like the core of a
Okay.
cardstock.
Uh-huh. What did you say, Laura?
I said, oh, contentious.
Anybody else?
I said shuffle because I
And I
just
said
think of riffle shuffling and that sound when you bridge and it goes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Tom Benjamin does a really good job of that
I
one.
know.
Oh.
Right? I know.
Oh.
Right? That's like it's sexy. When
I
he
need
does
a
that.
whole video of him just doing
Just
that for
shuffling.
like 10
Yes,
minutes.
exactly. That bridge shuffle. Okay. Let's try another word. Gilding.
Let's
Icky.
go.
Unnecessary.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah. All right. How about velvet?
Sexy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cupcake.
Tactile.
Red velvet cupcake.
Okay.
yeah, I think of black velvet.
Voluptuous is a word I think of when I think
Yeah,
of
for
velvet.
velvet.
But also because I used to perform at a club called Volupte, and they had beautiful, thick red velvet curtains that would
Nice. Nice. Okay.
Are we still closing our eyes, or am I the only one with my eyes closed?
Close your eyes.
Okay.
Close your eyes. Catastrophe.
My life.
Oh, fuck.
Fire.
Alleyway.
What did you say, Laura?
I swore.
Oh,
I said, oh, fuck.
oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that was okay. All right. Oh, wow. Heidi. Candy. Damn. Woo. Okay. Yes, Amatrine Rich. Yes, we are trying to become more comfortable. All right. One more word.
Okay.
Radish.
Ugh.
Red.
Spicy. I like radishes.
I do too.
Who else
I
went,
like
oh,
the
hide my eyes
spicy
closed?
hot. I
Yes.
love chili. I love
Oh, you
anything
do
like
both too.
All right. So here's another question for you. Yeah.
Is it naughty?
What's something you'd hope people never forgot or will forget about you?
Oh, that came up in your last one.
Yes, it did.
Whatever I taught them.
I apologize. I actually do have to go. I have to pick up a friend of mine.
Sure. It's
I
okay.
apologize.
Sure.
It was so lovely to spend this time with all of you. Queen Osset, thank you so much for having me.
Thank
And
you,
now
James.
this was just so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Good.
Bye,
We'll have
James.
you back again.
I'd love to. Bye, everyone.
Okay. Thank you. Take care. Anyone else? Anyone?
No clue. I don't have a
It's a
clue.
really, yeah, it's a really
Okay, so
tricky
that's
one.
that's something maybe you want to think about.
Yeah,
That if
like
you're gonna think about anything, maybe that's what you want to think about, right? What would you hope? Because the only thing that's guaranteed is this moment right now. 10 minutes ago is already in the past. We'll never get that back, right? And 5 minutes from now, some crazed psycho could blow the freaking entire world up, and this wouldn't even matter. This moment right here is all that matters, right? So if the world was to be blown up 5-10 minutes from now and this survived, the people who came after and they saw this recording, what would you want them to hear if they were listening to this? You know, 1,000 years from now, they're going to find this, like, oh my gosh, look at Kelly Bear.
I would want them, well, visually, I would want them to remember my smile. I always smile at strangers, at people I know. I'm always smiling as much as I can. And I honestly, I'm a college professor, but even in my ordinary life, I just want to teach somebody something that will make them better.
Mhm.
I want them to remember. Even if they don't remember what I taught them to make them better, just like she helped me be better at something. I just want to teach everybody something. Always.
Okay. All right. Just something to think about, right? Because you never had to, like I said at the beginning of all of this, is put yourself first, right? I mean, years ago in my ELA, we had an assignment to write an obituary for someone else, write our own obituary and write an obituary for someone else. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, I want to do that because la 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 la. But when you're dead and gone, you think it really matters the sort of impression that you've left on people? It really doesn't, because it's not, I mean, unless you have that connection, there's really nothing you can do to come back and undo any of that. Right? Think about all the people that we have lost in the past year. Cicely Tyson, Chadwick Boseman, Stuart Kaplan, the effect that their lives have had on us while they were living. Okay? So now you have an opportunity to actually look at the effect that you might have on someone now before you transition. You know? I mean, you know, you get to that place in your life, at least with me, people could say, you know what, Queen, she didn't give a damn. She did it anyway. She wore some badass shoes. No. You know what I mean? Think about that for yourself. And to wrap up, because we're on for 2 hours here, I'm going to pull from the healing, because I always like to. So the questions weren't really that harsh, that hard. You know, each deck has almost 100 cards in it. And the premise is that you sit across from someone and each of you take a turn. You should answer the questions, and I appreciate everyone answering the question, you know. But if you can't answer the question, you know, you look the person in the eye and you say, I'd rather pass. Because sometimes in a lot of these decks, the questions are like, you've seen it, if you know what I mean, you listen. So it's a crapshoot. Which card is going to come up when? You know? So I never want anyone to ever feel like like you're put on the spot or anything like that. You're not. Okay, but this is a way for us to get to know each other a little bit deeper, so that hopefully we can get to that friend level. That we can have those conversations that take place beyond this. For me, I take my friendships seriously. Like, I do not bullshit with my friendships. I am loyal to a freaking fault. I am. And it takes a lot for me to call a person a friend. But if I call you my friend, like, if you're setting the building on fire, I got your back with that. Like, if you tell me, Queen, we got to do this, da 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 da, I'm like, okay, I'm coming with the tub of acid and the body bag. Like, okay, that's the kind of friend. Okay, that means I'm all in that way. Okay, and I know that's tough. You get to those situations, you get to those places where quickly you start to calculate, well, what have I got to lose if I do this? Like, da 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 da. What about this? What about my dog and my shoes and my deck collection? Da da da. This person needs me. Here's a question from the healing deck. What have I never heard you say? And the next one. What are you afraid to ask me?
Well, you haven't heard me say a lot, even though I have talked a lot. But you probably haven't heard me say that I'm scared or lost. But I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And then I'm sad. What was the second question?
What are you afraid to ask me? If you have anything to ask me, what are you afraid to ask me?
Not really afraid. I feel like I can ask you anything. Can I ask the question, even though I'm not afraid to ask it?
Yeah, sure.
I would ask, like, what would be your tips on self-forgiveness? Forgiving yourself.
Okay. Did you do something that cannot be undone? Meaning, did you take someone's life? Did the situation or the person who is affected by what you did, have they not been able to move forward, or have they moved forward in their life? Because a lot of times we're the only ones that's blocking us. They have moved forward and you're still holding on to what was done. And you have to remember that sometimes the perception of the situation is based on who's engaged in that. Right? Who's engaged. For you, it might have been so at that moment. This is the beauty of being a human being, and I speak like I'm an alien. And sometimes I do feel like I don't belong here, and I know this, all right? That sometimes the situation doesn't warrant the amount of emotion that we put into it, that we pour into it. That sometimes it really is not that deep at the end of the day. It really isn't, And where we are right now, especially with society and the quarantine, the shenanigans that are going on should tell you to see that. So self-forgiveness begins with, it's okay. You take ownership, take responsibility for what you did, right? And then you say to that situation or that person, whether they are with you or not, you say, I'm sorry. And you say it with sincerity. You just say that, I'm sorry. That's where that comes from. Right? Third, you want to ask, well, maybe this should be first. Why do you feel the need for self-forgiveness? What do you need to forgive yourself for? Because depending on the circumstances and the situation, we've all made decisions in the moment that in hindsight may not have been the right decision, or a decision that we felt at that moment was for the best, right? And that's why I asked the question, did you do something that cannot be undone? And that one thing that cannot be undone is to bring a dead person back to life. Pretty much almost anything else can be fixed. Anything else can be fixed. Okay? But keep it, again, in context. That forgiveness is for you, not the desire that you need the forgiveness from someone else or from that other person. Okay? Own that shit. Like, okay, I fucked up. Okay, I did. It was a lesson. Right? It was a lesson. And in that lesson, I learned yeah. Right? And that person's okay. They survived. And maybe every time they look at me, they're going to remember. But I'm telling you, saying I'm sorry and being on that end, on that, saying I'm sorry and saying it sincerely could take care of so much. And I've been in situations where people try to do everything else but say I'm sorry. Because they cannot believe that the simplest little thing like that could be so soothing, could be so healing. That's all I want. I just want you to say, you're sorry. Okay? Anybody else? Yeah. A few weeks ago, I posted on my Facebook page, first time in my life, a white man came up to me and said he was sorry. He was sorry for the 400, 500,000 years of oppression that women of color had to deal with. Oh, that broke me. Like, I thought of that, like, in my freaking 5, 6 decades. Those words from a complete stranger meant so much more to me than if he gave me a Tiffany diamond. Because I knew he meant it. I felt it. So even with yourself, right? I know a lot of people who abuse their bodies on one level. Look at your body, stand in front of a mirror. Look at your body in all of its freaking glory and say, look, I got 10 toes, 10 fingers. I have both breasts, one breast, no breasts. My body's still pretty much together. It's still functioning. It could hold me upright. Or I'm on my hands and knees. Or I just have to sit down. But it's still here. And I still have the wherewithal. And you look at your body and you say, you know what? You caused me a lot of freaking pain, but damn it, I appreciate you. Because at least when I wake up and I'm in pain, it's like, damn, I get to do this shit all over again. Yeah, buddy, let's go. right? My chronic pain reminds me of my humanness. It reminds me of to be compassionate to myself. That's what my body pain. Two things I do. So I put down some questions in my last video. I put down some questions like, what do you think about, and all of that stuff. When I open up my eyes, I look at the window, and if I could see the sun, I'm like, okay, I made it through the night. That's like the first thought. I made it through the freaking night. And then the process begins for me to somehow get out of bed. And I'm telling you, the body is like singing high pitch. Because I haven't slept that much at night anyway. And I'm like, you know what? Today, I get to do that shit again. I get to do it again. My big question, if I had that question, my big question, I said this the last time, do I have enough time left? Do I have enough time? I'm at that place in my life. You know, this is the year of the ox, the metal ox. And I was born in the year of the metal ox. So your sign only comes around once every 12 years. But I guess in your element, and these are what we do Chinese astrology, that only comes around maybe once every 58, 59, 60 years. In another 60 years, I'm not going to be here. So whatever this means for me, you know, astrologically, lunar, whatever it is, metal ox, I feel like it's important for me because I was born in the year of the metal ox. And this is the first time in my life that I'm encountering this. So I feel that, right? Yeah. So I think one of the questions was, I don't remember.
It was, what have you never heard me say was the first one.
Yeah.
And then the other one was, what would you have been afraid to ask me?
Mm-hmm.
Or was the questions from your video at the end?
Oh,
Yeah.
From the last?
Those were
The last video.
what do you think about when you first wake up in the morning? What is your mission in life? And what did your hometown teach you?
Yeah, I've got those written down.
Or what did where you grew up teach you?
Man.
Just those. What's the matter, Lennon?
My hometown taught me a lot. I don't go back. You know, they say you can't go home again, and I feel a lot of that is true. I feel when I roll through that one horse town, man, in Atlanta, it feels different. It feels so different. But then it feels like I remember myself as a little girl, you know, walking down these streets and memories bombard. But when I look around, it's like I'm seeing two different places. And that's why they tell you that you can't go home again, because you can't go back to that place. You can't go back to that little girl that you were walking down that sidewalk. Now there's not a sidewalk there. There's a 7-Eleven there, you know? And I think that my hometown taught me so much about I was too nice. I was too nice. And I thought people were so mean growing up. I thought people were so mean, but then they weren't being mean. They were being real. These people were being real. And I was being naive, and I was not being silly, but, or stupid. I don't want to say stupid, but I didn't have enough experience yet to know that they weren't being mean. There is a thing about being too nice.
Yeah.
And too accepting. And so when I heard that in your last video, I thought, man, Atlanta, what it used to be and what it is now, man, the memories bombard you. And then, it taught me a lot.
So whether you realize it or not, I asked these questions. I put them out to you because these questions, these self-reflective questions, they actually color your readings, whether you realize subconsciously, even if it's subconsciously, they color your readings because they're your experience. So whether you realize it or not, accept it or not, your experience does come to the fore in your readings. When you put down those cards, you're pulling, and that's my belief because that's my experience. It's hard to separate everything that you are up until this point from what you see in your reading. Does that make any sense? Yeah.
Yes. I've always struggled with, I'll just say, I've always struggled a little bit with the idea about, reading cards objectively, and you have to be objective and you have to put other things aside. And it's like, you can't, like tarot or not, it's like, you can't leave who you are at the door of a room and come in and leave everything that informs you and makes you and has shaped you and that you carry with you in your body and in your mind and in your spirit. Like, you can't just say, well, I'm going to put that in brackets and put it over here and it wouldn't be desirable to either. I don't think.
Exactly.
That's a really interesting point, Laura, because that's sort of always like you shouldn't read if you're in this mood, or you should never read for yourself, because like I haven't read for myself for about a month, but that's because I know from experience that when I'm in this particular space mentally, it does me no good. But the rest of the time I'm happy to read for myself. I've been doing so for over 20 years, and it's interesting when people say, oh, I read them objectively for other people. I'll read them objectively for other people. And yeah, you should bring the rest of yourself. And it's like when people say, don't make art political, don't make tarot political. Life is political. Politics is life. Art has always been radical and political. If you say art isn't political, you don't know anything about art history, quite frankly. And that's why, and when people like Queen Nusset, yourself, and others have said that it's important to do the work, whether it's about being anti-racist or it's about trans rights and queer rights and inclusion, about being intersectional with feminism. Those things are important. It's important to do the work, because the more you understand people and where people are coming from, and you bring that understanding to your readings, the better reader you're going to be, right? You bring that, like, you don't just take your brain out and be, I'm an objective robot. The point is that you become more well-rounded and more expansive in your view, right? None of this love and light BS and all this spiritual bypassing that you see so much of, which drives me up fucking wall, quite frankly.
Exactly.
And don't politicize tarot, or don't politicize it. It's like, that's a privileged position to take, position to be able to say that. Like,
I think whenever it's don't politicize it. It's like, that to me is just, well, then you're just content.
Yeah,
you're content with how it is,
with how
right?
everything is, and it doesn't bother you. It doesn't affect you. Yeah, and so you're just happy with the status quo.
Yeah,
and that's not acceptable, quite frankly.
What you have never heard me say is, what's that? Love and light.
Yeah, you'll never hear me say that.
Love and light, peace, and I don't know, whatever. Like
unicorns,
your chakras in balance, all that bullshit. Like, I'm sorry, you're not gonna hear that come from me.
You'll never hear me. I was going to say, you'll never hear me say, look at this beautiful collection of crystals I've amassed. Yeah, I'm just not a crystal person.
You're not a crystal person. Yeah. See, this is some things. Here's something that you'll never hear me say, that I cleanse my decks, crystals, anything before using them. Should I take the bitch out of the freaking cellophane wrap and let's get to going? I'm serious.
Same.
Right? Mm-hmm. This is a tool for me to use. I tell people they have no magical inherent ability whatsoever on their own. They only work through you. It's like your freaking car. Your car is not going to go anywhere until you put that key in the ignition. And even then, you have to turn the key. Like, there's a series of operations. Other than that, a car that is in park will never run over a dog. Ever. So it's the same thing, right? You'll never hear me say that I cleansed the deck. You do what you have to do for you, but I don't cleanse a deck. I don't cleanse a rock. I don't cleanse anything. Like if I want something, if I feel quote unquote drawn to something, I'm like, oh, like if something is speaking to me, like, could you give me the lottery numbers, please? Or the sexy dude's phone number. Like if you're going to talk to me like that. Other than that, I'm just not in that way. I'm not. And sometimes I do wonder, like, am I missing something? Because when I watch other people, they're like, oh my God, this deck has so much power, or I feel the energy of this deck. Or now I understand about feeling the connection to artwork, right? Being moved by artwork, like Lennon's artwork, Picasso, or a beautiful piece of music. I feel that. But, 78 cards, I don't feel, you know what I mean? I don't feel that. And the same thing with crystals. I love them. Obviously, I love them, right? I love some labradorite. But energetically, I'm the operator. Same thing like with Mercury retrograde. We live in the West. Everybody's blaming everything on Mercury retrograde. Computers don't work, Mercury retrograde. Well, for a million years, nobody knew what the hell Mercury retrograde was. And there's a whole another part of the world that they don't give a damn what Mercury retrograde is. They don't even know what that is. And they live functioning. Yes, I did, Oak Mama. I just got Lennon's painting. Thank you very much. I'm going to get a frame for it. Ametrine Witch, I'm giving you major chaos magic vibes. Good. Look, I'm a daughter of Oya. Like, we stir shit up. I'm sorry. That's what we do. Right? I keep saying this. Maybe that's what you will never hear me say, that I am content. Yeah. That's what I've never said that.
Why should we? Why shouldn't we, if we keep evolving, right? Why should we be content? Because tomorrow is different. Tomorrow will be different. Yesterday was different than today. So I may be content right now in this little 30-second window. But tomorrow, we have to demand that tomorrow be different. Shouldn't we? Tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow
I know, but
sometimes
I want to be like my cat, who is content just laying in my lap and getting belly rubs and eating treats. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes I want to be like that.
Yeah, it's as I say a lot, giving a shit is exhausting.
Yes, that's why I asked, like, why am I doing this whole summit thing?
Yeah, there's a quote from a season finale episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, just to get a pop culture reference, where Buffy's about to, I don't want to give spoilers, but she says to her sister, the hardest thing to do in this world is to live in it. And I saw that episode 18, 19 years ago, and that stuck with me, because sometimes you feel the weight of everything and giving a shit, and sometimes you just want to lift it off and just put it aside. And really, like you said, I want to curl up with Dr. Nomi in the sunshine on the bed and just let it all go, right?
Exactly. Just
let it all go.
But then life, it's beautiful still. You see pockets of a child smiling or dancing, you know what I mean? Adults cutting up and old people dancing and shit. And it's like, that's the life. That's life. We have to go through the crappy stuff to get to the good stuff. Yeah. I'm going to get there. I believe it. Maybe not in my lifetime. Well, what's the one thing you would never have done if it weren't for me? I'm sorry, Lena. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But go ahead. No, say what you're going to say. I'm sorry. And then we can respond, because that's going to be, yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you, what was What was the last time, since you're talking about being comfortable and laying around like the cat, getting their belly rubbed, when was the last time that you actually sat down and unbuttoned your pants and let it all hang out and just breathed? When was the last time you did that?
What year is this? I've never.
Never let that, sometimes I have to look around. I have to unbutton my pants. I have to let the fat roll out, and I just have to let it all breathe out.
I've always been in and on alert, always, even from when I was a young child, always. So even when I am relaxing, I'm still
buttoned up
on duty. I'm still on duty. Yeah. I would love to, that whole thing about veg or have my breakdown or something like that. Yeah, that experience. Never had that. But this brings me joy. See, that's the whole thing. I'm always in that place about doing something. So one of the things I was thinking about doing, and I'm going to plug in my laptop so we can go ahead and wrap up though. We've been on for a long time and I was going to set the timer. We just get long-winded. I really appreciate you. Okay. I'm going to do lives like at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. The grown and sexy hour. I'm just going to come on because I have insomnia. So I want to come on and see what's happening and chit chat and, if anybody's up and maybe sling some cards and just do that, do something different. I want to call it the grown and sexy hour. That's what I'm going to do. Because you see, I don't have enough on my plate, right? 24 hours in a day. Sleep is overrated. I was going to say, I've learned that. Just something I want to try. I guess it's just something I want to do, like with my own channel. I don't know. I have a part 3 of the depth here. Like I'm building up to a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing the way I am for this depth here. I want to do something for me differently for this. Yeah. Okay.
What was the question on the card? I forgot.
Oh, what's the one thing you never would have done if it weren't for me?
Oh. Come on alive. I've never been live on my channel.
Oh wow, really?
No. I don't even think I know how. I mean, I really don't. I mean, when you asked me to be on this summit, that was crazy. I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to even click a link. I don't know. What if this webcam doesn't work? I mean, then I couldn't get my microphone to work. I could hear everybody, but nobody could hear me. So I was like, I don't know how to troubleshoot any of this shit. But now once I did it, it feels easier, I guess, every time you do it. So I would have never done that. I would have never got on somebody else's channel, been live. Like there's 2 things already that I wouldn't have done had it not been for you.
So let me tell you something about what Lennon did when we did the last summit and she came on. She wanted to actually have an interview and a discussion with me prior because I think she wanted to make sure she was going to be safe to come on live.
No. It wasn't like that. It was for troubleshooting, but then it was like, I have to know that your objective isn't to harm me in any way. And if I get that feeling that your objective here is to somehow annihilate me on this live, this summit, and it wasn't so much that I felt like you would. It was more so that let's see how we jive, just me and you, and then it'll be a little bit. And I wanted that for you too. I wanted you to know that I'm who you want on your channel. Also, I wanted you to know that about me, but I also wanted to know that about you too. So, does that make sense?
Yes.
And we didn't really even interview. We didn't even, I mean, we just chatted and it was nice.
Yeah. See, and when I invited several other people to the summits before, and they said no, they turned it down because they felt the same way. This is now they didn't say that to me, but that's what I heard, and it's like, I'm not going to do. I don't operate that way. Seriously, you know what I mean? Like I don't need to do that. Like I'm going to speak clearly. I don't need a forum or a platform to do that. We will have a discussion behind the scenes if that's something that needs to be done. That was not the purpose of that. I'm not in this place to create even more decisiveness, So yeah. All right, ladies, give me 1 second. And then I'm going to leave you with some parting words. Oh my gosh. No one got up to go to the loo, the privy.
Oh, I am rather bursting, I must say. I've been holding. I have a sensitive bladder, I will tell you.
I stopped drinking the water about an hour ago.
I had one cup
of
tea, 1 glass of water, and I'm like, okay, that's enough. I've been bursting for since about 8:30.
Just like full disclosure, we're all afterwards, we're all just gonna guzzle a glass of water, go sit on the toilet, and just.
And then I'm getting into bed. God. It's like my bedtime nearly. Because I'm rock and roll. 10 p.m. bedtimes for me, baby. I have this thing where I like to watch wild camping videos to help me fall asleep.
This is like man versus wild camping or just regular camping?
No, more sort of wild camping, sort of chill, there's a guy or woman, man or woman or whoever, just usually without any talking, just, chopping wood, building a fire, putting up a tarp, that kind of thing. I don't know.
It's like
it just
camping ASMR.
Yeah, it's proper
camping.
Chill. Yeah, camping. Okay. It's like my thing.
No, I don't do camping.
Oh no, I don't want to do camping. I like watching people do.
I love camping.
Gotcha.
I haven't camped for a long time, and that was at festivals, and that's a whole other. I'm not doing that camping ever again.
I do too. I camp every year. Ooh. We go. My whole family and I go to a lake, and we just camp for days at a time. So it's dirty and raw and gritty, and my hair's never been matted like it has when I'm camping, but. But there's nothing about jumping in that lake in early
Queen
in the morning.
Osset is like, nope, not having that.
And yet I find something, I don't know, very powerful about being in the dirt and being dirty. I've had that experience. I have. Yeah. I was in the military. I've had that experience. Of not taking a bath for 7 to 10 days. I've had. Being in the dirt, everybody's stinking, putrid, you can't even recognize one body odor from the next. You all stink. And then taking a shower that lasts 30 minutes and oh God, what is this coming off of me? You know what I mean? I've been there. Okay, so I want to thank you for sharing your gift with me. I want to thank you for sharing your time, your energy, and your attention. Those things are valuable and precious to me. I want you to understand what I'm going to tell you is important. Don't ever give those gifts to anyone who doesn't deserve them. Okay? Do not give your gifts to anyone who does not bring you to a better state of your higher self. Do not pour into anyone who does not pour back into you. Never, ever, ever, ever accept any sort of treatment from anyone that is not up to par with the divine, precious, powerful beings that you are. And with that, I am complete. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Queen Osset.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone in the chat. Candy, Michelle, Essence 818, Oak Mama. I know.
Love you guys too.
Lovely to
Bye.
Y'all talk
I'm
soon.
ending the broadcast. I think we'll still be here.
Mhm.